This is the Rocket City Retirement Show with Cris Wallace. Cris loves educating people in person and over the airwaves. Whether it's retirement planning, investing, tax, or legacy, Cris prides himself in helping protect what matters to you. This is the Rocket City Retirement Show.
Hi, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer, and we welcome you to the Rocket City Retirement Show with certified financial planner Cris Wallace. He's also president at the firm, and joining us is Graham Bauer. He's a advisor, and also Richard Constantine, certified financial planner, and he also is an advisor at WG Financial Group. And we're going to get some really good advice from them today about retirement planning, just like we always do. So let's get going here. The phone number, 256-937-2010. That's how to reach out to Cris for a discovery visit. Call or text the word visit to that number, 256-937-2010. Remember, this is complimentary, so take advantage of this. Check us out on Facebook as well, WG Financial Group 256. Remember, plan, retire, play. That is what we want for you. Find us online anytime at WGFinancialGroup.com. And remember, all of our shows are available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Just search Rocket City Retirement Show. Hello to you, Cris.
Hello to you, Lou Ann.
So good to be here with you. And Graham as well.
Hey, Lou Ann.
And Richard as well.
Hey, hey.
Hi. All right, guys. So we do have a lot to get to today, but, want to start off with our WG Positivity. Graham, what do you have for us?
Yeah, I can't remember now, but I think I might have talked about a story last week that also took place at a college, MTSU. And this one does as well. So I don't know. There's no theme to that. I'm just kind of now realizing that. Sorry if you guys are getting sick about hearing about universities. But I thought this kind of fit today because we're going to be talking about later in the show, younger families and planning stages throughout life. And when we talk to younger families, one of the big concerns that a lot of people have is college and paying college expenses, because college is very expensive. But for a select group of people, a independent philanthropist has made it a lot cheaper to actually free at one New York medical school. It's called Albert Einstein College. They got a donation of $1 billion from someone who was on the board of Berkshire Hathaway. His name's David Gottsman, I think is how you pronounce his last name. He passed away at 96, and in his memory, his wife donated $1 billion to the school. So that medical school will now be totally tuition free.
Oh, wow.
There's only 100 students a year that come into the school. So it's not a massive school, but it will eliminate all tuition for those students, which I thought was a really, really great thing to do. And, will definitely help advance a lot of people's careers and, help them not have a ton of debt coming into the workforce.
Heck yeah. Med school. My son just finished med school. If only.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah. It's definitely very pricey. So their tuition started at around $60,000 a year. So that'll be totally wiped for all the new people coming in.
That is amazing. Wow. Wouldn't that be cool? Now, Cris, if only somebody would donate money for your kids' college, right? Or you can have the kids go to med school. There you go. Caleb and Christian can go to med school.
Oh, sorry. I was packing up my bags. I was headed to New York. I'm thinking about going to med school. I'm going to do it myself.
Chris is going to med school.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you perform surgery on me. No offense.
Let's make sure you're good to go. Okay.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, we we do some humor stuff on the show, and we try to keep it fun. And during the show, we have fun, but we're also pretty serious about what we do, and we talk about different topics in retirement. And I just thought it was funny last week, the pre-show conversation that we were all having with our producer.
Yes.
And we were basically talking about, I guess our producer went to a movie to see some movie, and I don't recall what it was, but he said that in the movie theater, somebody had fallen asleep. Mm-hmm. And I said, did he fall asleep with his head on your shoulder? And then that translated in, would you nudge him? And Graham was like, well, I don't know that I would, I wouldn't push him really hard, basically. And we just got into this long conversation, and then this clip right here came out of it. I like Graham enough where I would actually burp him like a baby.
That's hilarious.
It's all fun and games until I spit up.
That's a good one.
Are we recording this?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So when I asked our producer to play that clip, or to clip that and actually just send it to me because I wanted to hear it because we were all laughing so hard. I had tears in my eyes, actually. And so I played it at home, and I didn't quite get the same reaction at home as all of us. Yes, like I played it for Jen, and she just,
she's just like,
yeah, well, exactly. So Jen is she's real big into like trying to cut me down at times. And so speaking of that, so we were walking through Home Depot the other day, and I was just like looking around, and I just told her, I said, when I go into Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those, hardware stores, it just makes me feel manly. And you know what she told me?
No.
She said, you should come in here more often. That's what she told me. Like literally told me.
Yeah, you need to go in there more often.
And then you know what she said after that?
No.
Put that on the radio. That's what she told me. No joke.
Okay, so we did.
Yes, we did. All right, there you go.
Who's going to laugh more at her joke or ours last week?
I don't know.
Should we get a vote up from our listeners?
Take a poll.
Yeah.
We need a poll. Go to Facebook and post on Facebook.
There you go. You can do that on Facebook.
It was funnier, our joke or Jen's joke about me going to Home Depot to feel more manly. So anyway, so this for the rest of this segment, what I want to do here is I want to talk a little bit. I want to tell a couple stories. So a couple weeks ago, I was working out in the gym. I always wear a fitness watch when I work out. I wear my Apple Watch, and I'm constantly checking my heart rate. I'm checking the time in between sets. And frankly, I'm trying to make sure I get out of there in a decent amount of time so I don't spend, over an hour in there because I have, other stuff to do, and I don't want the gym to become like a job for me. So the other week, I actually forgot my Apple Watch, and I tell you what, it was incredibly uncomfortable. I didn't have anything on my wrist to look at. I found myself, I kept looking at my wrist because it was out of habit, and I didn't know how fast my heart was beating. I didn't know how many seconds I'd gone in between sets. And I was really, really out of my normal routine. And I got to thinking about that. I said, this is like our lives become such a habit in the way that we do things. And I've said it before on the show where we are talking about working and, it becomes, it basically, it's our identity and it becomes who we are. And we develop these habits and we work all the time and do the same thing every day. And money goes into the bank account and we spend it and allocate it the same way for 20, 30, 40 years. And I had a client come in the office this week for a review. And he looked at me and he said, you talk a lot about, adjusting in retirement on the radio. So when you retire, that adjustment of feeling uncomfortable and not knowing exactly what to do. And he looked at me and he said, it took a while. It took, over a year to kind of get used to not getting up, going to work and not having these daily routines and having to develop these new routines. Mm-hmm. And he said, now he feels like a teenager. And he said, do you know what that means? And I was like, well, I could go a lot of different directions with that, but we'll just say, hey, maybe you don't have as much responsibility. He said, yeah, some days I get up at 5:30, some days at 7:30. I get up whenever I want to. I do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it with whomever I want. And I can just kind of be free and I don't have to worry about it. And he said he was in Florida on vacation, which I was really glad to hear that he and his wife went to Marco Island, Florida, and they were enjoying themselves. And he just told somebody that I think he was on a boat or something like that with some other people, but he just had made the comment that he's never been able to just be kind of free like that. So he kind of referenced it like a teenager. And I would agree to some degree, about just having that free thinking when you're a teenager. So something else kind of funny happened this week. So again, here's another joke, I guess. Well, it's not really a joke. It's another story. So it can be, did you laugh harder at our story or did you laugh harder at Jen's? Well, here is Ellery's. So I'm helping her with homework last week and she's in personal finance, which I was really glad to see that she's taken a personal finance course, of course, but that they're offering that in school. And it's legitimate. I've helped her now a couple times. Well, this particular assignment, it had to do with looking at moving from states and checking the cost of living and which one's cheaper. And there was a lot of stuff in there on tax. And it was really ironic because I believe it was just last week, we talked about marginal and effective tax rates. And so you have the marginal tax rates, the 10, the 12, 22, so on and so forth. And then you have the effective tax rate, which is basically the average tax across your income. So in helping her with her assignment, it asked her to find both the marginal and the effective rate. And I just went off. I was like, this is geek out time. And I started saying, well, all right, listen, baby, now the marginal tax rates are the 10, the 12, the 22, and this is the effective. Now the effective is like this. And you know, I'm working with clients and they don't quite understand the difference in the two. And, you know, this is going to be their tax rate here in this assignment. And this is kind of like when I'm figuring Mr. Jones is in retirement. And she just stopped me and she looked at me and she said, Daddy, she said, this is the most fun you've ever had with me, isn't it? Teaching me about taxes. And I stopped, I looked, and I just bust out laughing because I was kind of geeking out. Yes, I was having fun with her, but it was in my wheelhouse, you know, and I was just like, this is fun, you know, and she just looked at me and said, this is the most fun you've ever had with me, teaching me about taxes. So
that's cute.
Yeah. So I bring that up. It's important to know, like, as you're out there today, you know, we tell these funny stories and all that, but it is important that you understand where you are in the brackets today. I know that when Graham and Richard and we all sit down with people at the office, we know where they're at in the brackets today. And that gives us and should give them direction on how we think how you should be investing, maybe putting a little bit in certain different buckets, certain different types of taxable accounts. But knowing where you are in the brackets today is really, really important. And I think if you know where you are in the brackets today, then you can start asking yourself or your advisor, are there creative ways that I can save more tax efficiently? Are there different things that I can be doing with my earnings today and positioning it, you know, good for today, but also maybe better for tomorrow when I get to retirement? So I think that's important. I think the other thing, by knowing where you are in the brackets today, is you can ask yourself, are there any creative ways for me to give? So charitable giving prior to required minimum distribution age, or what about after required minimum distribution age? What are some of the creative ways that I can do some charitable giving that will offset my income and maybe bring down my tax liability? So I think understanding this and talking about Ellery and my story and working with her, it really made me think about just the listener in general and how important it is to understand where you are in the bracket today, and are there things that you can be doing today that may help you not only today, but again tomorrow. And that is what we do. That's kind of embedded within our planning process. Some of the questions that we ask in the discovery session are questions that are designed to understand your income, you know, what your adjusted gross income is. And then we take a look at all the different accounts that you have open and then see if there's any opportunity for you to save more efficiently in different types of accounts. And it is pretty common that we will find in a lot of situations where someone is not taking advantage of certain things that they could. And again, that's part of our discovery session. If you'd like to come in and sit down and go through that process, our number is 256-937-2010. Again, the number is 256-937-2010.
This is the Rocket City Retirement Show, and we'll be right back with lots more. Do you have a retirement plan but would like a second opinion? Let Cris lift you off into retirement by calling 256-937-2010. WG Financial Group. That's 256-937-2010.
Quarters, just 25 cents. That's hardly anything, right? But Cris Wallace and his team at WG Financial see quarters a little differently. A quarter is a lot when it's a quarter of your retirement savings. Now, do you want to pay 25% or more in taxes during your retirement? Well, Cris can create a plan to help address that. Now, if the only time you think about taxes is when you file them, you don't have a tax strategy. But it's not too late to get one with the help from Cris Wallace. So act now to make sure you're not paying a quarter, dime, or even a penny more than you should. Call Cris Wallace and his team at WG Financial at 256-937-2010 to schedule your personalized tax strategy session. A quarter saved is a quarter earned. Call 256-937-2010 now. That's 256-937-2010. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Want to feel confident about your financial future? Let Cris Wallace from WG Financial guide you through it. Take the first step today. WG Financial Group is here to help you plan, retire, play. Just go to WGFinancialGroup.com. That's WGFinancialGroup.com.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Cris Wallace, Graham Bauer, Richard Constantine, all of WG Financial Firm, and they are a holistic firm. In other words, they take a holistic approach in helping families and guiding families. And so that's why we're happy to have you along, because they have some really good things to share with you today. Now, I want to take you back, and there's a song that Rod Stewart wrote. I don't even remember it, and I'm the oldest one here. But did you guys ever know of the song Ooh La La from Rod Stewart?
Graham, you're the music buff.
Yeah, Graham's the music guy.
You know, I'll admit I don't actually know this one. I've never been a big Rod Stewart guy, admittedly.
Okay, what about you, Richard?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of Rod Stewart, so I apologize to all the diehards out there. But
okay, well,
wait a minute. Did you say you've never heard of Rod Stewart?
Never heard of
or
him?
this song?
Or this song?
I've never heard of Rod Stewart
No
or this
way.
song.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
Well, here's the good news.
Yeah.
There are no diehard Rod Stewart
Probably
fans, I don't think. So you have offended absolutely no one.
there are probably some women. There may be some women my age.
Yeah, but like I think his whole thing was kind of partially like the sex appeal,
Yeah.
and I mean, we can tend to lose some of that over
Yeah,
time.
right,
So
not anymore.
the '80s was a long time
It
ago.
was a long time ago. I agree. Okay, so anyway, in that song, there was the line, I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger, right? And how many times have we all said that, right? I mean, so many times in my life, I've thought that. I wish I knew then what I know now. And then also a freelance copywriter. Her name was is Hannah Miners. She actually wrote a book about things I would tell my 20-year-old self. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about that for a moment. Now, this is kind of funny because, Graham, I don't know what you're going to tell your 20-year-old self.
Can't wait to meet you.
So we have to explain. Yeah, Graham he's a young one, but man,
Yes.
he is helping Chris and the team out at WG Financial Group. But I guess who wants to answer first? What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
So yeah, I'll go first. The obvious is I would tell myself to buy Apple stock. That's the first thing I would do. But no, on a more serious note, I'd probably tell myself to shut up and listen. And so I'm gonna, I would kind of phrase it like I'm talking to myself. So, as much as you think you know, you don't know everything, because I think as a young adult, we tend to think that we know more than we really know. And then we realize that, later in life, our parents told us some things, and you get to 30 and you're like, oh yeah, mom or dad told us that. And you get to 40 and you're like, yeah, they told me that too. And you start to realize you didn't really know as much as you thought you knew.
Sure.
And so I'd also tell myself, when it comes to money, you have to think about your money like candy, kind of like the now and later
I
candy.
used to love those.
Oh yeah, I don't have any molars in the back. Remember, they used to stick to your teeth really bad.
They were so bad for your teeth. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was terrible.
Oh yeah.
So the reason I say now and later is you can have some of your money now, and you need to put some away for later. And an example of that might be a minimum of 15% towards retirement savings, 5% towards short-term savings, and then that would leave about 70% to live on for a lifestyle. So you kind of think of it like the 30-70 rule. The other thing I like to say nowadays is get your money out of sight, out of hand, out of mind. You're less likely to spend what you can't see and what you don't have in your hand.
True.
And this will help you to think less about it. And then again, talking to myself, I see that you're strong-willed and independent, but I recommend that you find a money mentor and seek mentorship in someone who can help you become financially stable at an early age. I didn't meet that person. So I would definitely tell myself that.
Yep.
And then probably lastly, time is actually your most precious asset. It's something that we really can't see or touch or feel. But this really goes for, money. It goes for friends, family, your job. Use it wisely and know that within a blink of an eye, it can be gone pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Give lots of hugs, especially to those that you're close to, because you don't know if those last few interactions will actually be the last time that you spend with them, and cherish those moments and focus on being present. That's very hard.
Wow.
Just focus on being present.
Wow.
So those are the things I would tell my 20-year-old self. And
put a lot of thought in that. That's excellent.
I did.
Very good. Richard, what would you tell your 20-year-old self?
So when I was 20, I was still playing baseball, and I think I would tell myself that it's okay to pull the baseball and try to hit it over the fence.
I love it.
But I guess that's for all things in life too, though, right?
Right.
Like,
Heck yeah.
You might as well shoot for the best outcome possible, because I mean, even if you shoot for the stars and you miss, you're still going to land up on the moon, essentially, is the saying. So,
right. Yeah.
Yep, you'll still be okay.
Very cool. And, Chris, what you said about you don't know if it's going to be your last day, right? I got to tell you, last night, Bobby and I were driving and a guy ran a red light. Because Bobby hesitated, and we know people run red lights on that very intersection by our house, I might not be here today. We would have been T-boned. That's how bad it was. He flew through the intersection, and I just went, oh my gosh, that could have been it. I mean, so you don't know. Very, very scary. But what you said is true. Take advantage of being with those people that we love. And okay, so what I want to get to right now is just the fact that, when you were in your 20s, whether you knew it or not, you were laying down the groundwork for your financial future. Okay. That's why, Chris, you said, pay yourself, now and later, a little bit of both. We talk about the stages of retirement on our show. Chris, I don't know how many times we've talked about that, the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years. But financial planners say there are actually 5 financial stages of life. And so we're going to go through those. Okay. So the first starts with your early career years, like in your 20s, like Graham's age, in your 20s. And of course, right now, you guys at WG Financial Group probably have clients that have kids that age, maybe even grandkids in that first stage. So
absolutely, we do.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about how we can pay forward information to maybe the next generation to help them find their own financial footing. Great.
Yeah, well, you're definitely right, Luann. We do have a lot of people whose kids or grandkids are in that stage. And I think that financial independence is really important. And teaching your kids can, sometimes be even more beneficial than just leaving them stuff. So, I think that one thing a client told me, I think it was a couple weeks ago, that kind of stuck with me, I thought it was funny, is we were talking about inheritance and how he felt about estate planning and what he wanted to leave behind. And actually, I might have heard a few clients say this in the past, but he said, I don't want my kids to be waiters. I don't want them sitting around waiting for me to die, basically. So,
I love that.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I thought that was really funny, and I think that's how a lot of parents feel, that even though maybe they want to leave their kids something, but they also don't want them to just be, counting on mom and dad's money when they pass on. So I think giving advice to your kids, your grandkids can be really beneficial. And, sometimes we'll even help a little bit with that, help give some advice. Actually, next week, I have a meeting scheduled with some clients where both of their kids are going to be there, who also are clients of ours. And it's kind of like I'm joining the family reunion or something. It's going to be, it'll be a full house. But I think it's good that, they have these conversations with their kids. They're starting them younger. They're teaching them good things when they're younger. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can teach them. Building up your savings, getting an emergency fund, I think that's really important. One thing I think that's kind of hard about that for some people, and actually has been something that I've been thinking about myself a lot recently, is kind of figuring out the number that usually people go off 3 to 6 months of expenses, but it's really easy to like the feeling of there being a lot of cash in your bank account. And I think for younger people, sometimes it's hard to say, okay, I probably have enough in savings. I need to start transitioning some to investments, because when you're a young individual, you have a long time horizon. So having an emergency fund is important, but I think you really should have a number, even if it is that 3 to 6 months of expenses, if it's a little more, a little less, that you feel comfortable with, and, kind of be able to invest more of your money on top of that.
100%, Graham. That is a big transition thing for younger people, because, as young people, we're taught save, 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 save. That's what my grandpa used to say, my mom, my dad, everybody, save your money, save your money. But nobody teaches you when is that transition point into taking, once you have that emergency fund established, taking that next step to putting the money really to work for you and investing it. Very, very good point there.
Yeah, and like I said, it's been a conversation that I've had internally with myself recently because, I got married last year and I've kind of been walking through some of those steps, and I'm doing some of them, but trying to figure out where is that number where I feel comfortable, where I can say, okay, I'm really going to be investing with my future. Another thing is, getting your life insurance, just term life policy for younger families. I personally have a term life policy on myself. I locked up 35 years because, again, it's too cheap not to have, in our opinion. I always joke with my wife now that I'm worth more dead than alive, but I think, that's a good thing to have that in place where, you're protecting your family, even if it's just two of you. Another big thing that a lot of people struggle with, I think, is lifestyle creep as you start to earn a little more. And what I mean by that is just making sure you're living within your means and you're not, as your salary goes up, you're not just spending all of that money because we're a very things-centric nation. We like new things and we like to get new things. Even last year, we were looking at getting a new car for Emma, or I say a new car, a new used car. And, it's easy to get in there and really want something. But then I think about, oh man, the car payment, I'm not going to be able to put as much in savings and investments if I do this, where interest rates are right now. So there's a lot of things to consider. So when you get a raise, maybe you don't immediately go out and say, oh, I'm going to get a new car, or I'm maybe going to get a house that I can't totally afford and is going to put all of my income in there. So I think there's a lot of those decisions that have to be made along the way. And then I think the last thing I'll mention that is probably the biggest thing, and it kind of ties in with the savings and emergency fund, is just to be investing in your future diligently in some way, shape, or form, because compound interest is your biggest friend when you're young, and it's a huge advantage that you have over people who don't have as many years of accumulation as you. So I think doing anything as much as you can really is going to be beneficial long term.
Okay, very good. All right. Then after your early career phase, you kind of get into the whole family and career building, right? So Richard, why don't you tell us about that? Big financial steps that are happening at this point in your financial life.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, at this point, you're finally starting to actually make a little bit more money. You're consider starting a family, and you're also transitioning into being fully self-reliant. And what I mean by that is, it's no longer quote unquote smart to stay at your parents' house and live there to save money. It's time to get out there and be your own, family. Unfortunately, most people at this stage, and, a lot of my peers are in this group too, when they create a plan for this time period, and I say plan very loosely, they think that they're going to work for another 30 to 40 to even 50 years. They're like, oh, I'm never going to stop working. Well, in reality, though, it's, the only reason why that they think that way is because that's kind of how we've all been trained to think. It's okay, Richard, you're going to go to school, get a job, you work till you're 65, and then then you're going to retire at 65. Well, back to Graham's point, at the end of the day, it's the decisions that you make at this stage in your life, whether it's the car you purchase or the house you purchase. Those decisions are what's really going to determine if you have to work another 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly right. Richard, I know we got a couple more questions we want to jump and let you get into. Those are good points, especially for younger families. So if you'd like to give us a call and set up a discovery session, you can do that with 256-937-2010. The number again is 256-937-2010. And we'll be right back with more of the Rocket City Retirement Show.
Looking to feel confident about your financial future? Let Cris Wallace from WG Financial be your guide. Begin your journey today at WGFinancialGroup.com.
Wait. Now, wait a little longer. Great. You may have just increased your lifetime income by tens of thousands of dollars. That's how Social Security can work for you. The longer you wait, the more money you may get. Deciding when to start taking your Social Security benefits is one of the most important retirement decisions you'll make. Cris Wallace and the team at WG Financial Group can show you the options and help make the right decision for you and your situation. Call them today, 256-937-2010. You spent decades paying in. Optimize what comes out. Cris Wallace and the WG Financial Group team can help you squeeze every penny out of your Social Security benefits. Don't wait any longer. Call now, 256-937-2010. That's 256-937-2010. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm is not affiliated with the U.S. government.
Navigating uncertain times in the volatile market? Don't make impulsive decisions. Trust the Rocket City retirement guy, Cris Wallace. WG Financial Group is here to help you plan, retire, play. Call now at 256-937-2010. That's 256-937-2010 to schedule your meeting today.
Hey, thank you for joining our show today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer, and I am here with Cris Wallace and the rest of the guys from WG Financial Group having a great talk about just the financial stages of life, right? We normally talk about retirement, but we're talking about all through life. So, Richard, I want to get back to where we were. You were talking about the financial stage that happens when you are, I don't know if I want to give an age, but you're starting to have your family and you're building your career and you're making more money. So that's where we were when we had to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's honestly, it's one of the most important stages in all of your financial life. It's really the foundation of what you and your family and your significant other and your children are going to, expect going forward. And so, yeah, I really, it's one of the few things that really kind of irritates me is when people in this age, including myself, either they're like, oh, I'll figure it out in 10 years. And it's like, come on, just like, guys, you really have to think about these decisions you're making, because these are the biggest decisions that you're going to make in the whole financial picture for the most part.
Right. Yeah. Your life is ticking away and, they don't know it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You could kind of say this is like, in the 30s or 40s at this point,
yeah.
kind of the years that we're talking about here is kind of in that 30s or 40s. And to Richard's point there, you're kind of laying the foundational pieces. So I know most everybody out there listening you've driven by a construction site or you've seen a house get built and you just watch them put brick by brick by brick. And that's essentially what you're doing in your 20s, 30s, and 40s is you're putting those bricks into place to where, you're setting up that foundation for your current retirement savings to benefit you later down the road.
Yeah, so good. So do you guys work with people that are in these first two stages of financial lives?
Yeah, I'll kind of just add that. So basically, if you're just starting out, say you're in your 20s, early 20s or something like that, and you're just trying to get started, we've done consults where we'll do a phone consultation and kind of, tell someone, hey, we would kind of think about these things. But I think as a really young individual or family, you just want to make sure you're taking advantage of your company sponsored retirement plan. If you have the opportunity to put into a Roth, we definitely recommend that, especially young family. Make sure you got your legal documents, and then you make sure you have adequate term life insurance. But as you get up into that like 35, 40, 45, 50 range, and all of a sudden you've amassed some money in an IRA, and the money is probably a little bit larger than you're wanting to mess with, then that's sort of where we start coming into play, kind of in that, I would say that mid 30 range, where you're kind of, you're teetering on the very beginning of pre-retirement. So we work with all ages. Our core focus is the pre-retiree and retiree, of course, but we're definitely in that Gen X and I would even say that upper millennial end as well, if I'm remembering those names. I think I'm an X, right, Graham?
You're Gen X.
I'm Gen X, yeah. I want to be Gen Z again. I'd love to be Gen Z these days.
I've seen you doing a lot of TikTok dances recently, so I don't know. I was thinking something was up.
Oh, my word. That's funny. How do we find the right financial professional for our current stage of life? What do you guys recommend about that?
I think at the end of the day, the most important component of that is to work with someone that genuinely cares about you and your family successes. The last thing that you want to do, and this isn't just for financial management, this is for all professions. You don't just want to be another number on their screen that they're looking at, right? You want to develop an emotional connection with someone. And at the end of the day, that's why me and Graham were even brought into the roles that we have now been brought into as advisors. It's because Cris really does care about the families that he works with and wants to be able to service them in a manner that he seems truly fit for who he considers to be his work family.
Because we're talking about people in their 20s, is it ever too early to start thinking about retirement? I know this answer, but I'm asking it anyway for our listeners.
I mean, it's not. Retirement, as most people think, it's, at 65 and you go on a few cruises a year, which is a great retirement. But, you're able to start planning and thinking about quitting your work earlier if that's something that you want to do.
Yeah, I think what's hard about it, the question, is it ever too early? I think what's difficult about it is it's so far off that you don't think about it, right? So is anybody out there right now literally thinking about Christmas right now today?
No, I'm not.
I was sitting here, what can I say that's kind of an analogy real quick? And that's the first thing that came to mind.
Right.
So Christmas is so far off today, but by the time October rolls around and basically as soon as Halloween is just about done, so October the 29th, they'll start putting out Christmas decorations. All of a sudden you'll start thinking about Christmas.
Right.
Well, that's essentially what happens with retirement. It kind of creeps up on you pretty quick, but you don't think about it. I think that's the hardest part. So is it ever too early? Absolutely not. That's why it's important to create those habits early on. The problem is you just don't think about it because it's so far away. You can't really even envision what you want it to look like.
Well, and to jump on your Christmas analogy, I think if I remember correctly...
You want to sit in my lap, Graham, like Santa Claus? Tell me what you want for Christmas.
I was going to say that I think Cracker Barrel is about a month or two away from thinking about Christmas. If you've ever been in there in June, they already got everything up. So maybe be more like Cracker Barrel to everybody listening, Think about it a little bit earlier than you think you need to, maybe.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right, well, we're talking about the 5 financial stages of life. So we've gone through the first 2, right? And then now the next stage I want to go to would be this really important one. And that's the one we always concentrate on our show. That's your pre-retirement years. Mm-hmm. So, Cris, this is so exciting. That's why we talk about it a lot because, goodness sakes, you're getting ready for this thing you've been preparing for your whole life. Your house is probably paid off. Hopefully, kids are off your payroll. You're in your peak earning years. But this is a time when you can't afford to make a wrong financial move. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about this kind of beginning of the phase 3 of financial planning.
Yeah, that's exactly what I like to call it is phase 3. So phase 1 is when you're dating, everything's fun and blissful and spontaneous. And then phase 2 is the kids are here and you're like, oh my God, these little rugrats cost a whole lot of money. Yeah. And now they go to college and now that's a lot of money. And now you're phase 3. And this is kind of where you've kind of described here. And there was a time, I don't remember how long ago it was. I'm thinking it was about 5 years ago for Jennifer and I. And I just looked at her and I said, there are no more stupid decisions. Like we cannot make any more dumb financial decisions. Mm-hmm. We're within, a window. We're within our pre-retirement window. And kind of like you said, you can't afford to ruin it with wrong financial moves. And that's what we did. So we just kind of made an agreement. No more dumb decisions financially. Yeah. And by dumb decisions, I'm pointing the finger at myself, not her at all. And so as you get closer to retirement, I think one of the big things that I want to have done is I want to have my mortgage paid off. I don't owe any debt other than just the mortgage that I have on the house. It's time to start thinking about strategies to reduce your taxes in the future. I think that's important. And as you start looking at your retirement needs, you need to start thinking about what type of lifestyle are you going to live in retirement so you can start planning on the amount of income you think it's going to take to support that lifestyle. This is where we talk about visualization a lot on the show. And I played a lot of basketball in school. I played a lot of softball. Richard, I can never hit a fastball, so I hit that little underhanded ball. I could crush it a long way. But I would visualize myself like hitting the ball out of the park. Or I would visualize myself driving down and beating a double team on the basketball court and taking it straight to the hole. I think the same thing you have to do when you're thinking about retirement is visualize how you want your retirement to look. What does that look like? What does that feel like? And then that'll start to help you decide how much money it's going to take to support those dreams. And you got to think about your health care, and then think about your home. Is the home where you're living today, is that going to be the forever home? Or are you going to downsize? Or are you going to do some things, make some modifications? So I think all of those are the things that you have to start thinking about in this phase of life.
Right. Okay. Very, very good. So now, we talk about, going in and making sure that we are on the right track. When is a good time for a financial checkup, Graham?
Well, I think there's a few good times for a financial checkup throughout your life and making sure that you're on the right track. And, I think people come in at different stages of that. I remember one meeting specifically, I think this was last summer, where a younger guy called in, and like Chris mentioned before, it was one of those more kind of phone call consultation type things. He was sort of just getting started, but it seemed like the reason he wanted to check up is because he was about to have his first baby. His firstborn child was, his wife was pregnant and they were far along. So I think he was a little bit nervous about that and thinking, can we afford this? Can we still save for retirement? So we kind of just gave him some information and sent him on his way. But I think later in life, the closer you get to retirement, it gets more and more important to make sure you have a plan, because what you don't want to happen is you don't want to walk into a financial advisor's office 3 months before you set your retirement date and be told you really don't have enough to retire and have to keep working. So I think 5 to 10 years before you're planning on retiring, at very minimum, is a pretty good time to get in and just make sure you're on the right track. Because when you have income, I think income, it covers up a lot of inefficiencies, because you have money coming in. You're obviously not running out of money if you have a good income coming in. But once that income is gone, there's a lot less you can do. You can't really save for retirement once you're already retired. Right. So when we've had people come in that are in that, maybe 10 years away from retirement, 5 to 10 years away, there's a lot more we can do. If maybe you're not on the right track for retirement yet, you're close, but let's clean up these couple of things. And if we stay really consistent on this, then we can hit that date. Because I have sat in meetings with Chris before in the past where people have come in and they planned on retiring very soon, and they were told, you probably got to work a little bit longer, or you're going to have to take a step down in lifestyle to retire because you just simply cannot afford it. And those are conversations that are not fun to have. I don't think we really want to have those conversations with anybody. And I think one of the best ways to avoid having those conversations is to plan ahead and not just assume, I'm good. I'm just been contributing just the match to my 401k. That should be enough. Or, I'm just going to retire at 62 and collect Social Security and we'll be fine, because there's a lot more that goes into it than that. So I think getting those checkups along the way and really working with someone can be so important, so you don't put yourself in a situation where, you walk out of the office hearing bad news. Yesterday's client came into the office, and I just thought this was really funny. We were doing some new paperwork for her, and she said towards the end, "Can you bring Chris in? I got to tell him something." And we were like, "Oh, okay." She was like, "I made a mistake." And so we get Chris and bring him in, and
I'm like the priest at this point.
Yeah, I guess so.
Confession has started. Yeah. So she comes in and she goes, "Chris, so I know you told me I shouldn't buy this condo, and I just shouldn't do it, but I bought the condo." And she was like, "I just had to get that off my chest. I'd been having bad dreams about it, and
I couldn't sleep."
Yeah, I couldn't sleep. And so we ran the numbers, and her plan still worked, avoiding those mistakes and helping get to a really comfortable and good retirement. So if you want to make an appointment and come in to have a discovery session, call 256-937-2010. Again, that number is 256-937-2010.
The Rocket City Retirement Show will be right back after this.
Do you have a retirement plan but would like a second opinion? Let Chris lift you off into retirement by calling 256-937-2010. WG Financial Group. That's 256-937-2010.
Quarters, just 25 cents. That's hardly anything, right? But Cris Wallace and his team at WG Financial see quarters a little differently. A quarter is a lot when it's a quarter of your retirement savings. Now, do you want to pay 25% or more in taxes during your retirement? Well, Chris can create a plan to help address that. Now, if the only time you think about taxes is when you file them, you don't have a tax strategy. But it's not too late to get one with the help from Cris Wallace. So act now to make sure you're not paying a quarter, dime, or even a penny more than you should. Call Cris Wallace and his team at WG Financial at 256-937-2010 to schedule your personalized tax strategy session. A quarter saved is a quarter earned. Call 256-937-2010 now. That's 256-937-2010. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Experience comprehensive investment and wealth management at WG Financial Group. Our tailored services cater to pre-retirees and retirees. With a range of portfolio managers, we cater to your specific needs from passive to active strategies. WG Financial Group is here to help you plan, retire, and play. Reach out to us at 256-937-2010 to schedule your meeting today.
Hi, we are so glad you joined us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Cris Wallace, Graham Bauer, and Richard Constantine, all of WG Financial Group. So we start off now with Richard's recap. So Richard Constantine, he is a certified financial planner, and he's also a retirement advisor there at the office. We decided to do this a couple of weeks ago because you guys have had some really good stories that happened during the week. And we want to share them with our listeners, our retirees that are listening, and they can probably relate to it. And, we just want to share what's been going on in the offices. So, all right, Richard, this is your Richard's recap. What do you have for us?
I learned the hard truth that the golf lessons that I took this past fall, they did not carry over this spring.
What?
They didn't. I played for the first time this past weekend. It was, 60 degrees and sunny here in Huntsville. And I shot a 99. So my baseball swing was fully taking over.
Whoa.
But,
yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. But I wanted to talk about this even before knowing what the main part of our show was going to be, because both on Friday afternoon when a client came in to pick something up, and on Saturday when I played golf, I played with three gentlemen in their mid-60s. That they both shared the same kind of thoughts about, hey, where were you guys when I was 30 and 40? How can I get my kids involved working with you guys so they don't have to, really put an emphasis on saving when they're 55. Fortunately, like as Graham even alluded to earlier in the show, we want to involve children. We want to involve grandchildren in the planning process. So, we're happy if clients bring their kids in and, we can keep it vague about your specific situation, or we can tell them the exact specifics that we would, tell you about your plan. But, we're always willing and open to helping put your next generation in a position to succeed. And using golf terminology, you don't get a mulligan in your 30s and 40s. Like that is the time to build the foundation.
Very good. Yeah, good golf analogies. Yeah, you might want to use that throughout the whole spring and summer and fall.
I think I have better golf analogies than I do a golf swing, but that's okay.
You might want to hit a Richard's recap on them golf lessons.
I think I need to. I'm going to call Will after this and tell him I need to see him.
Hey, don't beat yourself up about it. You haven't been out on that golf course, much over the winter.
You're right. But
awesome.
It's great that that people, one, they want their children to succeed, and two, that we're able to help provide them some guidance if that's the route they want to go.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you guys do that. Okay, thank you so much for that. And then now I want to talk about Social Security. It's been in the news right now. So many people, expect it to be that big source of income, significant source of income in retirement. And yet about 80% of retirees failed a Social Security quiz. So, Chris, I thought we'd kind of talk about this. A lot of us are lacking in the knowledge about, this major retirement program.
We are. We're going to talk about Social Security, but I just remembered that Graham shared a little story with me last night. And Graham's international now. He's a big deal.
He's an international broadcaster?
Graham's a big deal, and
Tell us why.
Yeah, he's Mr. Worldwide right now.
What?
So I'm gonna let him kind of take over and let him tell the story, and then we'll get back to the Social Security.
I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no
Quick
problem.
interruption, I guess.
Yeah.
So I actually learned about this last night. I thought it was kind of funny and shared it with Chris. I was driving home from work, and I like to call my grandparents on my way back from work a lot of times, and because I got some time in the car to call them. Actually, at our last client party, we had this bingo game, and one of the squares was, do you call your grandparents? And in a room full of retirees, I might have been the only person that had grandparents. So everyone was running up to me like, check my square for me. Do you call your grandparents? So yes, I actually do. But I was talking to my grandpa, and he cruises all the time. And he was on a cruise in Mexico last week. And he was sitting in a hot tub with another gentleman, as you do, I guess, and on
Just
the
not
cruise
too
ships.
close.
Yeah, not too close. Got to keep
Across from each other.
Yeah, got to keep the COVID distance at least 6 feet, probably.
And man distance.
Yeah. They're probably about equal. But anyways, they were talking, and somehow I came up. I'm not really sure exactly how. And this guy had listened to the radio show before. He was from, I guess, the Huntsville, Madison area, and he had heard the Rocket City Retirement Show before. So if that guy's out there, thank you for listening. You made my grandpa feel very cool. And we really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh.
Graham's
that's
a big deal.
Shout out. But Chris, you're involved in that too. You were on the show too.
He didn't mention me.
Oh, well.
Maybe he did.
No, he mentioned Graham. Yep.
You never know. You never know. Maybe he talked about you for an hour afterwards, but...
That is the coolest. See, that is so cool. You're known internationally now in Mexico.
Yep.
That is cool, Graham. Love that story, guys. See, people do hear our show as they're driving through the area. That's why you give out that phone number. And we do want anybody to call in because, Chris, you and your team, you guys will work with people. I mean, you can do, a lot with people now via Zoom, can't you?
We can. Let me put this in perspective. Graham's grandpa went on a cruise in the middle of the Gulf, basically, right? Big body of water. And he chooses to sit in a very small, tiny body of water with another person that happened to live in Huntsville, Alabama, listens to the show and knows who Graham is. That's crazy.
That's ironic.
It's just really, really crazy.
Yeah, I guess our marketing is working. If there are any hombres out there in Mexico that are looking for a discovery session...
That's so funny.
Give us a shout. All right, let's talk about Social Security. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's very confusing. There's a lot of different things that involve Social Security. You can have very unique situations. By and large, most people are going to have very simple situations, but there are situations that require expertise and guidance and all of that. And this test here, actually, what was surprising to me, Luann, is the test is very basic. Very, very basic, that 78% of retirees either failed or barely passed. I mean, it's pretty basic. And let me take that back. I say it's basic for us. It's not basic for the general population. Yeah. And I think this is where our firm kind of adds value. And we do not, talk down or make fun of people for not knowing answers in the office. Obviously, I just want to make sure that's super clear. But this is an added value that we bring. Not only do we do investment management, wealth management, we also do investment tax planning. We also do some Medicare planning, Social Security planning. I mean, we're kind of that one-stop shop when it comes to, full-scale retirement planning. So with this quiz here, to me, was an eye-opener that, wow, people really don't know a lot about Social Security. And unbeknownst to me, I did not know for the past 2 weeks. If you recall in segment 1 for the past 2 weeks, I've done some Social Security stuff in segment 1, and I didn't know we were going to have these show notes and go over this quiz in segment 4 today, but it all's tying together, God's providence or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the quizzes, Luann. I'll kind of let you filter through some of the questions and whatnot.
Well, let's go through the questions then. Question number 1 was, in most cases, if I take benefits before my full retirement age, and that little acronym is FRA, full retirement age, they will be reduced for early filing. Is that a true or false question? And go ahead, Chris.
Mm-hmm. That one's true. 92% of people answered that one correctly. That's, I would say, a pretty well-known thing there.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Number 2, if I have a spouse and he or she passes away, I will receive both my full benefit and my deceased spouse's benefit. Is that a true or false answer?
Yeah, that'd be false because he says I will receive both, and you don't. You keep the higher of the two, and only 70% of people answer that correctly. Wow. And I've seen this before in the office in talking with people. I say, hey, did you know that one of the Social Securities goes away? No, I thought she keeps mine. Yes, she does keep yours.
If it's higher,
she loses hers.
Right, Okay, very good. Number 3, the money that comes out of my paycheck for Social Security, like now while I'm working, goes into a specific account for me and remains there, earning interest until I begin to receive Social Security benefits.
Boy, don't I wish. That's a false statement as well. And only 65% of people answered that one correctly.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that is not good. So, okay, interesting. So we talk about Social Security and how a lot of us are using it. We're counting on that for retirement. Talk about how that fits into an overall income strategy as you're helping retirees, Chris.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I mean, it was designed to replace about 40% of income. Most people nowadays use it for larger than 40% of their income in retirement. It's a huge deal. We talk about it week in and week out as it's a guaranteed piece of income. In your retirement, we think it warrants a good decision, removing the emotions, looking at the data, the tax efficiency of it, checking out the spousal protection aspect of it. It's a big deal. Social Security should be a very, very well thought out decision in everybody's retirement plan.
Okay. Don't just do what your neighbor is, what somebody at work is doing.
Yeah, I think Richard said that last week, or maybe he said it before in the office. Everything kind of runs together when you're around these guys all the time. But basically, what's good for your neighbor may not be good for you.
May not.
That's an excellent, excellent saying right there.
Right, it really is. So if you have any questions about your own Social Security benefits, 256-937-2010 is the number to call for a complimentary discovery visit. And then continuing on with these questions about Social Security on this quiz, here's another one. If I get divorced, I might be able to collect Social Security benefits based on my ex-spouse's Social Security earnings history.
And that's true, and only 59% of people got that one correct, but that's true. We went over that in detail last week, so if you want to listen to the first segment in last week's show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can pick that up and I go into great detail there.
Another one, number 5, under current law, Social Security benefits could be reduced by 20% or more for everyone by 2035. Is this true or false?
It's true in the way the question's written. I have my feelings on that. Only 58% of people answered it correctly, which really surprised me. I thought that was pretty widely publicized all over all the fear websites that like to try to scare you to death. So, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, but it's hasn't happened yet. We don't know yet. Mm-hmm. Okay, Social Security retirement benefits are subject to income tax, just like withdrawals from a traditional IRA account.
Yeah, this is the biggest one that we talk about on the show. I've been talking about this for almost 8 years about the tax efficiency of Social Security. This one's actually false. So Social Security benefits are subject to income tax just like withdrawals from an IRA. Completely false. Only 38% of people answered that correctly. This is why at the office, when we're building out the financial plan, we talk a lot about Social Security. We mention the T word, tax word, a lot in relationship to Social Security and how a family has to think about the tax efficiency of Social Security and not just looking at it as a break even, or as Graham likes to say, like a game. This is what we do every week, every day of the week in the office. Me and Graham, Richard, we're all looking at these types of things. If you'd like to give us a call and set up a discovery session, you can do that by calling 256-937-2010. Again, the number's 256-937-2010. I hope everybody has an awesome and blessed week. And remember to serve every person in every situation with a servant heart.
Investment advisory products and services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business WG Insurance Services. WG Financial Group is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. Insurance products offered by WG Insurance Services are not subject to investment advisor requirements. AEWM and WG Insurance Services are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. WG Financial Group is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by WG Financial Group. This radio show is a paid placement.